Kite Runner is an interesting story. Like I said, the story of Kite Runner is an interesting story. And before I get to the meat and potatoes of this video about how Amir grows as a character, I'm going to talk about the story. Amir is our protagonist. We see everything through his eyes throughout the entire story, with some flashbacks and points of views from different characters. But yeah, he's our main protagonist. He goes and lives in Afghanistan with his dad, his best friend Hassan, and his best friend's dad. They go and they have an almost perfect life, except Amir feels guilty and is jealous of Hassan because Hassan has his father's attention more on him. And the reason why he feels guilty is because when he was born, he technically killed his mother, even though it was like death by childbirth. So, yeah. And later on, it turns out that they actually get harassed by this half German, half Afghani kid named Asif, who is a neo-Nazi who loves Hitler. Yeah, and he hates Hassan because he's a lower class. So later on, after a kite tournament, which kites were like a huge event in Afghanistan, kite flying and all that, yeah, Asif goes and confronts the two, and he gets his friends to hold Hassan down, and he rapes Hassan. Horrible, horrible thing. I don't know why exactly, but it's to show how bad of a guy Asif is, and Amir does nothing to stop it. Probably because he's a kid and he is a coward. So, yeah, and then Amir goes and starts to feel guilty about the entire thing, which almost anyone would, and he starts to push Hassan away. Even starting to go and blame some things on Hassan and his dad so that his dad would go and send them off. Well, after numerous different failed attempts, Hassan admits to it, and he goes and confesses to his dad, allegedly, that he was raped. And yeah, so they go and leave Amir's father and Amir, which makes Amir's father really sad because his dad was, Hassan's dad was like his best friend. So fast forward a bit, they go and have to go and be smuggled out of Afghanistan because the Russians invade. World history, yay. And yeah, Baba, which is Amir's dad, he goes and prevents a woman from getting raped by a soldier, which goes to show that, oh, wow. So Amir is Baba's son, but Amir's a coward and Baba is not. That's interesting. Well, later on, they go to America. Amir falls in love with this girl who did some stupid things in the past and basically didn't really attract any suitors. So, yeah, Amir falls in love with her. Baba gets cancer. Amir asks Baba if he can go and give him his blessing to marry her. And Baba says, yeah. So they marry. And later on, they couldn't have any kids. I'm not going to dive deeper in that, you perverts. And, yeah, an old friend, Rahim Khan, he comes back and he's like, yeah, Hassan, well, one, he got married. Two, he had a kid. And three, most importantly, he got executed by the Taliban, along with his wife. Oh, wow. So, yeah, Hassan's son is stuck in Afghanistan, and we want you to go and get Sarad out of there. And Amir's shocked, like anyone would be, and he starts to disagree because he still feels guilty about what he did to Hassan. And Rahim Khan drops a bombshell and says, oh yeah, it turns out Hassan's your half-brother, which goes and adds a lot more guilt onto Amir, and he starts to freak out. But besides the fact, he goes and accepts and goes back to Afghanistan. Now, he goes back to Afghanistan, searches for Sarad, and he comes back to Asif again. Asif is now in in this high-ranking position in the Taliban, which I don't know why they would accept him because he's half-breed, but whatever. I don't really mind that much because he's a horrible person. I would like to see him get his teeth kicked in. But yeah, so Asif goes and reveals that he has Hassan's son, and Hassan's son is basically, watch out, a sex slave. Man, this guy's a degenerate. So Asif goes and challenges Amir to a fight to the death and basically saying, oh yeah, if you kill me, you're free to walk away. He even tells his guards, if he walks away, don't stop him. You know, it's like a duel with honor. Asif beats the living hell out of Amir. And Amir just stands there or kneels there and smiles and laughs as he's getting beaten. It kind of mirrors how Hassan was whenever he was throwing the fruits at him. And yeah, Sarad goes and gets a slingshot and shoots Asif's eye out, and they go and escape. And Amir has to go and get stitches. He gets temporary stitches, and yeah, they go and try to figure out how to get Sarad into the adoption system. Turns out that Sarad has to wait in Afghanistan for actual confirmation, since his parents' death are just not really real, or something where they had to get the death certificates, and the Taliban doesn't do that. So you know what Sarad does? He almost kills himself. That flippin' sucks. And then Amir goes and saves him basically in the nick of time. He goes and gets hospitalized and brought back to health. And then they're able to adopt him and move him back to America. And they end the book by flying the kite. It's again, interesting story. And yeah, now you know the story. Now I'm going to go and talk about this. Okay, first we're going to start on the traits of Amir when he's a kid. Amir, he was a bit kind, but he was a coward and a little bit envious. I mean, he was jealous of how his dad viewed Hassan more than his dad viewed him. And he was also jealous of the bond between his dad and Hassan. And so whenever Hassan gets raped, during that time, he didn't focus on Hassan, which is probably like due to trauma or all that, but he focused more on basically how this was going to benefit him, if that makes sense. It kind of sounds cruel, but there's quotes like, behind him, sitting on piles of scrap and rubble, was the blue kite, my key to Baba's heart. He focused more on the kite than the kite and trying to impress his father than his best friend being raped. Maybe Hassan was the price I had to pay, the lamb I had to slay to win Baba. He had the blue kite in his hands. That was the first thing I saw, and I can't lie now and say my eyes didn't scan for any rips. He valued the kite more than his friend, who probably was expecting him to go and help, to go and stop Asif from raping him. There's also the part where Baba held me, rocking me back and forth. I had forgot what I have done, and that is good. You know, he was more focused on gaining his father's attention and approval than Hassan's well-being. There's also the part where he admits to being a coward, the quote, I inspired the cowardice, and also, just showing that even in the sign of danger that he isn't gonna go and step in. Whenever Hassan was getting raped, he admitted that he wasn't looking at Hassan. He kept on looking at the slacks and the blue kite. He valued the kite more than Hassan at the moment, which is kind of jacked up. But it's to show how flawed he is, how he isn't a good person whenever push comes to shove, even though he acts all nice and he does it. He would rather save his own skin than risk him getting hurt or him getting raped. What the author does, though, is show how he copes with the guilt whenever he's a kid. He goes and, instead of trying to comfort her son or do anything like that, he tries to push him away because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't want to feel this way, but he doesn't want to go and admit that he was a coward, that he was anything like that. He tries to order Hassan around, if that makes any sense. Whenever Hassan confronted him, so to say, and by confronted I mean like, why are you acting this way? Type of confront. He kept on going and yelling at him and hurling pomegranate at him, and Hassan just stood there, wanting his friend to at least treat him like an equal. He allowed Amir to go and hurl the fruits at him, and whenever Amir shouted, "Hit me back!" he goes and picks up one of the pomegranate and smacks it against himself, asking if that's what he wants. Because Hassan doesn't want to hurt Amir. He just wants to be friends again. But Amir, since he's hurt, since he doesn't know what to do, he's pushing Hassan away instead of comforting him, which I like how the writer did that. It reflects on how there's different coping mechanisms and how people go and whenever something traumatic happens, they don't want anyone to help them. They push help away. And yeah, it brings a bit of realism into the story, and it makes it hit a lot harder. But when Amir becomes an adult, he finds new guilt over this. He wants to go and try to redeem himself, to atone for his sins on the past. He can't do it to Hassan because Hassan's dead. So he tries to go and do it on Sarab. When he finds out, more guilt collapsed on him because, he found out that, one, Hassan was Amir's half-brother, and two, Hassan is dead. So, yeah, he goes and starts to regret, and instead of going and pushing everyone away and not talking about it, he decides to take the initiative and go to Afghanistan to save Hassan. One of the quotes shows, how he regrets and he wants to atone for his sins. The quote is, "How can I pack up and go home when my actions may have cost Hassan a chance at those very things? A wife, home, career, family, because, again, if he didn't push him out, maybe Hassan and Ali would have came with Baba and Amir to America. Maybe they would have a different life. Maybe they would be around, be alive, be healthy, And it just goes to show that what Amir did in the past really changed a lot of things for everyone. Amir still feels guilty about Hassan, but instead of going and acting selfish and not going to Afghanistan, he decides to go to Afghanistan for the purpose of getting Sarab out of there and, doing something that he never did for Hassan. Trying to go and get him to save him and get him a better life. It goes to show how much he has grown as a character, how much he has went as far, because Amir as a kid, he wouldn't want himself to get hurt. He wouldn't even risk himself getting punched, beat up, all that to save Hassan from getting raped. And adult Amir, he goes and he allows himself to get beat up by Asif So much so that he needs to get stitches, so much so that it mangoes his face, that it breaks his teeth, and all that. All to save a child that he never met, that he never knew. That the only thing he knows about this child is that he's the son of his best friend. That's it. It's like this selfless desire awakened inside of him to go and do whatever it takes to get Sarab out of there. A couple quotes lead to this. Like, I realized something. I will not leave Afghanistan without finding Sarab. I haven't been happy and I haven't felt better. Not at all, but I did now. My body was broken, just how badly I wouldn't find out until later, but I felt healed. Healed at last. Okay, wait. But the thing is that whenever Amir becomes an adult, despite what he was as a child, he wants to go and treat Sarab like he used to treat Hassan before Asif raped him. He wants to mentor him. He wants to have Sarab look up to him because that's what Hassan would have wanted. He would have wanted his son to live a good life away from all the violence, all the oppression, all the terror in Taliban occupied Afghanistan. I mean, there's a few quotes that hint to this, like, I wanted to pull him close, to hold him, to tell him the world had been unkind to him, not the other way around. A kinship has formed between us two. What happened in that room with Asif has irrevocably bound us. He wants to go and make sure that Sarab is safe. That's why whenever he learned that Sarab wouldn't be able for adoption for at least a long, like a couple months to like half a year to a year, he felt mad. He wanted to protect his best friend's son. He wanted to make sure that he was safe, and you can't do that if his son is stuck in Afghanistan, where people can kidnap him and rape him. So, yeah. But I find it to be beautiful how the author goes and correlates both the past and the present, how differently they are. How Amir goes and grows into a better character, how he becomes more like Hassan than he used to be. Because one thing that I thought was pretty interesting was whenever he was being beat up by Asif, it kind of mirrored whenever Hassan was getting pelted with the fruit. He just stood there. He didn't fight back. He didn't want to. He just entertained it.